Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik.
You want to try that again?
Let's try that again.
All right.
I was having an oral malfunction.
Okay, that's weird.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death that you're listening to our show.
Yes.
It's just me and Tony in the studio today. All the standard things where Rob and Jared are and, whatever. We miss them terribly when they're not here. But, all we can do is trudge on. And hopefully Rob gets a break pretty soon because I think he's up to about 60 amps that he's repairing right now. So that's a good problem to have. Anyways, we've got a great show ahead of all of us together, because we're all in this together, everybody. And that is because we have somebody on the line calling from Detroit, Rock City. Who are you, guest?
Hello. My name is Chad Morgan-Sterenberg. I play guitar in a band called La Dispute, and I make pedals under Oats And Molasses.
That's a lot. That is a lot of names that we have to sort out real quick here. Yeah. So we'll get into your band in the interview. Make sure that we do, okay? I don't want to leave that out. Sure. And then you mentioned Oats And Molasses. And that is that with an ampersand for the people who are searching for that?
Usually not. Usually an and.
Okay.
And a lot of times I just use OAM because that's...
Well, it looks cool on the pedal, too. Yeah. So Oats And Molasses, everybody. Go to Instagram or whatever your social deliciousness is and look up Oats And Molasses, and you're going to see what we're talking about here. For those who might be wondering, well, what do we have in front of? We're going to be discussing the VB2 Overdrive Analog Texture. Very exciting stuff. And getting to know Chad Morgan-Sterenberg. Chad William Morgan-Sterenberg. We found out. Did I just give that away? Should I have not done that?
Well, that's okay.
Okay. All right. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're glad you're listening and hanging out with us. And let's motor on to what's going on in our music world. No, just kidding. We got some announcements.
Announcements?
Yes, we got some good ones, too. So next week, we are going to start up our giveaway machine again. We've got some custom stuff done just for this show. Very excited about. I will reveal more later. I turned into Kermit right there for some reason. But very exciting. We're going to give a couple of pedals away starting next week. And I also wanted to give a huge shout out to John Sebastian, one of our supporters who he is the actual person that I referenced several episodes ago that had sent me a letter from UBS Bank. UBS Bank, right? It's not USB Bank.
I think it's USB.
Is it?
No.
Doggone it.
That's a port.
Look it up.
USB is a port.
Yes, look it up. Anyways, the bank guy. And he's a personal financier, but he was coming through town on business, and he said, hey, I'd love to meet up for coffee. And I said, absolutely. So we had a really cool chat. He gave Tony and I what appear to be Beatles Legos.
Beetle Legos.
Yeah. Not the animals, but that appears to be George, maybe? No, John. No. None of them.
If we flip the guitar around, it could be Paul.
If you flip the guitar, it would be, oh, yeah. Anyways, it was a very kind gesture, and this is going to now sit on top of our console.
So these are like little Lego guys.
Yeah.
But they have guitars.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
That's really cool.
That was just really thoughtful, Came to have coffee, and I came away with. At first, I thought they were Christmas ornaments because they were in like the bag that I usually get from my grandma with a Christmas ornament for the year. And I'm like, thanks, Grandma.
With the hard candy.
No hard candy in the bag, only a Christmas ornament.
And it is UBS Bank.
UBS Bank, yes. So I did say that I would remind people, especially all the builders out there, if you are either have questions about your personal finance or whatever. I'm not doing a commercial. This is not hey, UBS Bank, if you want to sponsor us, I'm not going to say no. I'm just saying. But this
Remember
is
FDIC, no substantial penalty for early withdrawal.
right.
No guitar knobs were hurt in the process of recording this.
Exactly. But no, this is one of our own. This is one of the members of our guitar community who's doing something, and he said, hey, I would love to be able to help out people who have questions about this. So
cool.
If that's an interest of yours, I guess hit me up, and I'll extend the
You can make
connection.
the connection.
I got some connections I'll make.
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention was, and this will kind of go into I'm going to preempt my music world.
Okay.
Okay. So I had surgery on my hand.
Yes.
And so I didn't have a whole lot of guittaring
Doesn't
going
look
on
too
this
bad,
last
actually.
week. Well, yes, it's healing nicely, but it was, you don't want, your hand is an amazing machine, and you don't want it messed with.
Yeah.
But in that,
It was looking kind of like Frankenstein's hand.
well, underneath the bandages, it does. Anyways, I have this book here.
Okay.
Chad, you still with us there, bud?
It's a blue book.
I am.
Good. Do you like to read, Chad?
Yeah.
Good. Well,
Do you like gladiator movies?
anyways, I ran across this book at a local used bookstore, and it's called Days Off.
Oh.
By Henry Van Dyke.
Oh.
And it's one of those books when you look at it and you say, this is an old book. This is a really old book.
It looks pretty old.
And it's gilded front and
gilded edges.
Gilded front, gilded edges, and it's like the rough edge stuff.
That's cool.
And I said, oh wow, this is really neat. So I open it up, and it'll give you a cue of whose hands this is passed through. It said, from Bessie and Howard Glynn from their library at Graycroft. Okay.
Wow.
So this was at some super fancy estate. And the curious thing is, this book was printed, first edition print, 1908.
Wow.
And it's full of these illustrations that are really neat, which I'm not going to share with you, everybody, right now. Mm-hmm. I know you want to see them, but I can't. But I started turning the page, and I was like, this is really fascinating. And then it says, to my friend and neighbor, Grover Cleveland.
Holy cow.
Whose years of great work as a statesman have been cheered by days of good play as a fisherman. This book is dedicated with warm and deep regards. Avalon, June 10th, 1907.
Wow.
Pretty neat, right? Okay, you're like, what the crap does this have to do with guitars, dude? I'm getting there.
Oh, he's going to read the passage about playing guitar.
No, it's not about guitars. It's about something that I've talked about recently on the show, and I just wanted to share this. This book is absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited about getting through
Best
it.
$10,000 you ever spent.
So it was $10. It was $10, and I've looked it up, and it's worth more than that.
I would think so.
Okay, so here you go. You've heard me talk about our guitar community, and the relationships that get established, the commonalities. It's a shared passion thing. Builders talk to each other. Enthusiasts have coffee with us. The whole 9 yards.
Yes,
and I'm always blown away at how things have blossomed from just the initial, like, hey, it would be really cool to be able to talk about guitars with my friends. I read this, and I have absolutely butchered the impression that I've tried to give to everybody. And this so eloquently says it, and I was just blown away by it. And I said, I can't wait to read this.
Speak.
The value of the value of a favorite pursuit lies not only in its calculated results, but also in its byproducts. You may become a collector of almost anything in the world: orchids, postage stamps, flint arrowheads, cookbooks, varieties of the game of cat's cradle.
I haven't collected that one.
And if you chase your trifle in the right spirit, it will lead you into pleasant surprises and bring you acquainted with delightful and amusing people. I read that and I was like, that's what I've been trying to say.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe it. It absolutely just hit me in my heart of hearts and my feels. And it was beautifully written, and it felt like this was like directed right at me. And I'm grateful to have found
Well, there
this
you
book.
go. There's like a cosmic draw.
It was because I was just
connect-
telling my kids about like the show and all the stuff that we talk about, and people sending things in and writing personal and having. And I'm talking to loads of people. And
You know what I really like?
what's that?
Trifles.
Trifles. Yes.
Have you had a trifle?
I have. I don't think that's a trifle they were talking about. But
No,
anyways,
but I
anyway. So
mean-
thank you for letting me share that with you, and thank you for all of the outreach, the connections, the friendships that we've established on the show, and for all those that you've established with all the other people that aren't us. Bully for us. That's what they would have said probably. All right. Anyways, without further ado,
Yes.
let's find out what's going on in our music world this week, starting off with Tanya Blonsky, and then immediately over to, you know what? No. Yes, okay, let's do that. And then we'll go over to Chad Morgan-Sterenberg.
Jacob
Stop it.
Schmidt.
Okay. Go ahead, Tanya.
Jingleheimer Schmidt. So a couple of weeks ago, I just bit the bullet and decided I needed to buy a turntable. Now,
Yes.
I grew up on turntables.
Yeah.
I grew up on 8-track tapes. I grew up on cassette tapes.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on reel-to-reel tapes. And I had a really nice turntable back in the day and got rid of it foolishly, got rid of most of my LPs.
As everyone did.
Yeah. And so I decided that I would not invest a lot of money, but I found a very nice, highly rated turntable that is a Bluetooth turntable. So you can Spruce tooth.
Yes.
And it connects to a Bluetooth speaker.
Yes.
Which is perfect.
Where didst thou get an idea?
Well, you did indeed plant the idea into my minuscule brain.
Yeah.
And I did follow some of your direction, but I didn't want to spend quite as much money as you did. So I found one on Amazon that was on sale for like, I don't know, $120, $125, I think it was.
Cool.
And the reason I really did this is over the last couple of weeks too, I picked up a couple of, our good friend Billy Spitfire gave us all a copy of the new Mathematics album.
Yeah.
And then a good friend of mine originally from Youngstown, he was in a band called Illuminati. He moved to New Orleans and he has a new band called the Hotties. That's HAWTIES.
Okay.
They just released an album, and I bought that. And I said, well, okay, now I've got these
Now you
albums
gotta-
plus some of the ones that
right.
I'd saved, and it's just like, what am I going to do? So I bought a turntable, and I'm glad that I did. And I forgot playing vinyl versus streaming or playing a CD. It's just,
If you haven't, you don't get it.
yeah.
It's just it's a semi-unexplainable thing.
And it's just the moving the needle and the couple of turns that it takes.
Taking out the record.
Yeah, I mean it's a very cool experience, and I'm glad I got to relive that. And I know a lot of the kids these days are back into vinyl.
Yeah.
And I mean that's what we really had back in the day.
I'm gonna have to share with you some of the ones that I recently picked up that I've mentioned, like the live things and stuff. Chad, are you a vinyl hound?
I really enjoy vinyl. I have a decent amount. I wouldn't say I'm like a huge collector. I'm actually probably not a huge collector of much of anything. Even with music gear, I have a decent amount, but I try not to just collect for collecting's sake, if that makes sense.
This boat has no anchors.
But yeah, I definitely enjoy the vinyl format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just something you brought up a bit about the experience. I came home yesterday, and I had just dropped off my daughter at the university, at the University of Cincinnati, and it was a very, very, very difficult day for me because she's my daughter. She's so special. And I was just in a place, and I came home, and I was trying to make a sandwich. I didn't even want to have dinner. And I was just making a sandwich. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put on something that's going to kind of fit me right now. And I grabbed my Radiohead Moon-Shaped Pool. And it's beautifully packaged. It's heavy. It's a double album. It's like, the 180 gram. It's just, nice. You take it out, and you're like, this is something special. And it's special music on something special. And that just kind of made the sandwich a lot better. So thank you, Radiohead, for that. Anyways.
Well,
so cool.
what's cool is now that your daughter's in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And if you go visit her on campus, go over to Mike's Music.
Yeah.
Great
well,
guitar
and Matt
shop.
Hart lives down there. I'm
that's
definitely
right,
going to hang.
that's right.
And as well as Matt Hart is Cody Foster down there. So I'll be able to connect with him, and I got people down there.
Yeah, well, now getting back to Mike's Music, so
Yeah.
there's one close to the University of Cincinnati on Vine Street, but also if you cross the river in Covington, they've got like not quite. It's more of a player shop of player grade instruments.
Oh,
but Cincinnati has a ton of great little places to stop.
Can't wait. Chad, what's going on in your music world this week?
Going back a minute, I stopped at Mike's Music last time we played Cincinnati.
Oh,
I
cool.
think it was 2022, but that was a very cool shop.
Did you go to the one in Cincinnati or the one in Covington?
It was close to the venue was called Bogart's.
Cincinnati.
That's Cincinnati side.
Yeah. In Cincinnati, yeah.
If you get down there again, like I said, hop across the river to Covington, Kentucky, and it's like their player grade instrument store. That's what the way I would put it.
Okay. But is there instruments at the mic?
Oh yeah.
And records?
No.
I thought you were just talking about records.
No, I was talking.
We were talking about records, and you jumped
I know,
in.
but I said
you could have said a sandwich shop for Pete's sakes.
I like a good sandwich.
I know you
shop.
do. That's why I said
but
that.
But no, we were talking about taking your daughter to the University of Cincinnati. I said, now that you're visiting
Yeah,
Cincinnati, go
but
down
we were talking about records before. So, all right. Anyways, thank you for clearing that up.
Must you
I wouldn't
be
have been
so
able to do that
linear?
without Chad's help. Okay, Chad, you were referencing before we so briefly interrupted you. Go ahead.
So my music, let's see. I've been kind of getting back into writing more music again. Our band, La Dispute, is writing our 5th LP right now. So I've been kind of attempting to get back into a good routine, and I've always been really good at like late night has always just felt good for me. Like kind of
me too.
Post midnight, like just kind of no distractions. So in the last couple of weeks, I set up a really simple setup where I just have my pedal board and that running into an old 4-track, like a Porta 2 4-track. And then that is just going into like a stereo master recorder. So what I kind of been doing a lot of is just, playing guitar, recording into the 4-track, go back and make layers and adjustments. Usually like you only can do 4, but usually only 3 is what I find myself kind of just making layers, and then just quick bounce that down to the 2-track. So there's a digital copy of it, and I can kind of like just do the mix right away. And that's felt really good for me to get in that kind of process and like, not have to open a computer and not have to have all these distractions. And
well, it's kind of like taking a picture with a camera and not a digital one where you can, say, I'm going to take 72 pictures of the same thing and one of them's going to be right.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are very much like at a point where I'm doing much more just like rough sketching. So kind of just getting the general vibe of something, or like a light structure. And it's like all that stuff's obviously gonna be worked on more and take it to the computer and analyze, like, do the real recording. But for just kind of getting rough ideas down and kind of like slowly honing away at things, that's felt really good for me.
Nice.
As well. And I actually had recently bought a new guitar as well.
Ooh,
That's good news.
Which I don't do super often. I tend to be fairly like particular about when and what I buy, and a lot of the times it lines up with like a new thing or a new release or something. So it had been kind of a while since I'd purchased anything new like that. So I found a gold top Gibson Les Paul Deluxe at a shop nearby, and have just been playing that constantly.
Is it a vintage piece or a reissue?
It's a 71.
Oh,
I think.
yeah. That's vintage.
Yeah.
that's a 71.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did it have it has the mini humbuckers that are in like the P90 mounting rings?
Mini humbuckers, yeah, which is new to me. But I'm really enjoying them in a way that like the way that they kind of cut through a little bit, because I'm actually like a lot of what I do with my tone, I'm taking bass out of everything all the time. So the mini humbucker, I think, actually like does that on its own a little bit. So right from the source, it's just like a little less bassy, but it's got like a really nice kind of mid-range cut to it, which has been really fun.
You don't see a lot of people playing mini humbuckers.
Well, not in Les Pauls, but that was the way.
I mean, in anything.
I mean, back in the, from really late 60s into 72, 73.
Yeah.
That's the only way you could really get a Les Paul, was the Les Paul Deluxe.
Interesting.
And that had the, they're basically, they are mini humbuckers.
Yeah.
But they're mounted into P90 sized rings because the bodies, I don't know if they were leftovers or whatever, but they were already routed for P90s. And you'll sometimes see some guitars from that era. People, you can, if you're really, really careful when you put dowels in the corners, you can mount a standard humbucker in that opening with a full size ring.
Yeah.
That usually works. A buddy of mine has I think his is a 72 maybe, and somebody had done that before he bought it, and it's a little precarious, but he brought it over one day, and I helped kind of reinforce some of the stuff there.
Well, now you could actually do a 3D print kind of rig for that, I imagine.
Or you could have somebody at Picardy and make you a conversion ring.
True.
Well, so, the other weird thing about this one is it's got three mini humbuckers in it.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
Which, I don't know. To be honest too, I'm not like a vintage guitar person. I'm not. It's never been like. Usually, I don't even touch them because it's just like. I don't know. I said, I'm not really a collector. I don't really care about the originality, the parts. That's not really what I'm looking for, and usually that just it makes it out of immediately out of budget.
Sure.
But this one, it had a lot of non-original parts, and it kind of blew my mind because it had like a perfectly redone fret job, which it plays incredible, and like somehow it's worth it. Like they had one next to it, literally lined up next to each other, and the one next to it I think was like 4,000 or 5,000 more.
Oh wow.
That's a lot of thousand more.
That one I didn't touch. I'm not going to touch that one.
Right.
But it just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I do get it. Like people want an original thing and to stick with that. But I don't know, to pay less for something that plays way better was a pretty funny thing in my mind.
Yeah, and what you have is unusual, and I'm sure that was
And
You know,
I bet it looks cool,
the
too.
third pickup would have been added at some point, and you can do some really interesting switching things with a 3 pickup guitar. You know, a lot of people will do I think on the Frampton model that has 3 regular humbuckers, but he has 3 master volumes and 1 master tone. You know, a volume for each pickup.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how this one's set up.
Yeah.
Wild.
Which, really, really interesting blends.
Makes you wonder, maybe, you know, might that have crossed through his hands at some point?
Well, he does live
Because his
near
original
Cincinnati.
one got ripped off.
Yeah, but he got it back.
Well, yeah, but not until recently-ish.
Do you feel like
Anyways,
Drew?
that's really cool, man. You know, that you could take the middle pickup out and just put some fireworks in it. That would be cool, too.
Oh, a flamethrower.
Yeah.
No, I think that's cool. You're gonna have a blast with that guitar. How heavy is it? Is it you know, compared to other Les Pauls?
It's comparable. I don't know the exact weight, but I don't know, 9 pounds. Does that sound right? It's like,
That sounds like a lot, but
Heavy?
that could be. I mean, yeah, when you get to the mid 70s, they got to be boat anchors. But a lot of these
boat has no anchors.
But a lot of these deluxes that they released, again, were made from older leftover bodies from the
Sure.
50s
yeah,
and 60s.
yeah. It could be more like 7 or 8.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, I love a good gold top too, especially once the finish starts wearing off and they go
Yeah.
green on the, you know, the exposed parts. Nothing like
Yep.
it.
Yeah, it's got some good green to it.
Cool.
That's fantastic, man. Super
Yeah,
cool.
so that's kind of fun. And actually, like, it's kind of funny because I haven't really talked to anyone about this because it's like, I don't know. I kept it personal. I'm not, you know, posting it online and stuff. I'll probably
Too late for that.
Well, that's okay. It's a deep enough cut, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to like unveiling it, playing it out because I think I don't super care about hanging something on my wall.
Yeah.
So I and the other thing I felt like about it is I was like, it felt to me like I was making a commitment to like also getting down to writing, and it's just like there's something about having something that's different that just like inspires you to actually get in the chair and like sit down and just like get to know something and play and go like more deeply.
Yeah. It is. And I also really like the idea of if you're going to start on a new endeavor, especially an album that maybe you've recorded before with, you know, other gear that, you know, has become a staple, mixing it up is a great way to get new ideas because it sounds different. So you're not going to fall into the same, you know, potential, you know, rut if you have one.
Exactly. Yeah. And the last record we did called Panorama, did on a Rickenbacker 330, which was completely different than anything I had done. But that was like consistent for, you know, that whole record, and that was that record. But
well, you know,
pretty much
a Rick will make you play differently. I mean, it's the nut is very narrow. There are some you have to change the way that you play to really play them well. So you know, a lot of time, and that sound comes through, and that becomes. I mean, that became.
Tony likes the Ricks.
I like me them Ricks.
Yeah. Well, and then the other interesting thing was because I typically don't tour with a guitar tech and stuff, so I'm teching myself, and often I'll tour one guitar as a main and then just have a backup. But each of the guitars that I've used all my guitars as the main guitar at different points. So like I've had to learn, you know, how can I play all of our older material on a Rickenbacker and make that work with my setup. And you know,
Hey, you could just get another guitar stand and solve all the world's problems.
Yes. Get a double neck.
Yeah, right. Well, that's really cool. We're going to find out a little bit more about your band and stuff moving forward.
How about you, Todd?
I've got I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Before I had my surgery, I was really, really spending an awful lot of time fatiguing the living crap out of my ears because right after I got that Vox AC30 S1, a very special package arrived in the mail from Joe Halliday from Hello Sailor. I made a post with the actual pedal. I did an unboxing, but what I didn't mention with any of that is that it's a hybrid Abbey Road fuzz, which has 3 different positions on it. And he said essentially one is like the like a tone bender almost style. Then you click it into the different position, and it's more like a range master. And then the other one is the main fuzz face tone that he has manipulated to make it sound like way better than a standard fuzz face. So and it just looks so freaking cool. I absolutely love it. So anyways, that's been a blast to try to play around with, and it's a super, super fun thing, and I'm so grateful so thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be nice because having both a range master and a tone bender circuit, as well as the fuzz face.
Yeah,
I mean, going into the
ish
Vox
of those, it's not an exact one,
but yeah, it gets you there, and then going into a Vox will sound real nice, Clark.
Yeah, I'm not upset about that. All right, in order to do that,
yes,
with working it in with the other pedals and everything.
Yes.
Fortunately, I had a handful of Tour Gear Designs patch cables.
Everyone should.
And we've got I got a box. You got a box.
Yep.
Anybody who's heard the show long enough probably has a box of them. Super affordable, super durable, super convenient, so you can run
super flat
more pedals on your board. I'm fairly confident we can actually say that with no legal attachment.
I think you're right. I think you could easily sneak 2 or 3 extra pedals on your board.
Yes, indeed. So we want to give a humongous thank you to Tour Gear Designs patch cables.
Well, wait a minute.
What?
What if somebody wanted to buy some of those Tour Gear Design patch cables?
Oh, that's right. If they're hearing this, they probably do. If you do, let's eliminate the if. When you do, go fill up your cart.
Where?
And you're gonna
Where are you going to go?
TourGearDesigns.com. And in that little special box that says coupon code, you're going to put the guitar knobs, all lowercase, and you're going to save how much, Tony?
You're going to save 15%.
How
15%.
flippin' great is that?
These things are already very affordable, and now with the extra 15%, you're going to probably go back and load more stuff in your cart.
Possibly.
Do it.
I did the first couple times.
It's the right thing to do.
Indeed. So thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the floor, Tony.
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. All right. Chad Morgan-Sterenberg, what is your 4 on the floor?
Well, I was having a hard time with this because I actually don't have that many pedals that aren't mine in a way. But I always need a good spring reverb. On my board currently, I've used the Cattle and Bread Topanga, which I run at 18 volts. That's always worked out for me. But more recently too, I just got the Echo Fix spring reverb, which is really good. I like that it's a real spring reverb. I used to use the Van Amps spring reverb, which has like an external tank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I like that a lot. So yeah, if I had to choose one, I might go with the Echo Fix, although that hasn't currently made the board yet.
Have you tried that? Was it Surfy Bear?
Yeah, Surfy Bear makes some.
I haven't tried that one. No.
Really good
tried
stuff.
those at the last NAMM show. My God,
outstanding.
They sound great.
Yeah, I mean, basically, that is what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've got, well, yeah, you'll just have to check them out. But, they've got a pedal-friendly one. They have an entire tank you can do. They've got the big one, the small version. But it's all actual springs in those ones, so you can give them a kick, and they sound cool.
So this Echo Fix, that you say that does have a spring tank in it, too?
It does, yeah, and it's smaller. It's not. It's even smaller than like the tank size. The minimum, the kind of medium or small size Accutronics tank or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's even a little bit smaller. It's just got like, it's still got some heft to it, and it's got a meter.
Yeah, it's a cool thing.
But it just sounds great, and like you can push it, and it sounds nice.
Nice.
Yeah, there is something. I mean, as much as we love, the digital versions and things like that, there's just something about our true spring reverb, and especially if that, the style of music you're playing demands that.
Just do it. Just get it.
Just buy
do
one.
it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
I like having. Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's okay. I can move on. I was just gonna say with the Topanga, I do like having it has a volume control on it, which I use a lot, and is one thing that's missing from some of the other spring reverbs is like an extra boost.
Yeah, but you did find that on the Echo Fix.
The Echo Fix doesn't, so that's maybe where I'm not positive if it's going to work out better for me.
Okay.
Yeah, but so far so good with it though.
Nice. Good.
Number two.
Number two. So I'm going to go with the Asheville Music Tools ADG1 delay pedal. Are you familiar with that company?
No, that's a new one.
Okay, one more time. Asheville
Music Tools.
Okay.
It is Hawker, who formerly worked at Moog, and who was the one who was designed all the Moog. Actually, I don't know if it's all the ones, but I know did the Moog MF delay and maybe MF chorus and a lot of Moog's line of pedals, which I've used pretty heavily. The MF delay and chorus, and this is kind of what he went on to do after he left Moog.
Wow.
And they're just incredible pedals. Like
this is the ADG1?
ADG1, yep.
Okay.
So it's, yeah, and if I just had to pick one delay pedal, I would probably pick this one. Yeah, it's got like the classic delay sound, and then it's also got like an LFO mixed in, so you can do some kind of modulation stuff, which is really great.
There's a lot of stuff on here. Time, feedback, rate, amount, drive, mix, tone, tails, mod, and then there's two little micro switches, the 3-position and another 3-position. Wowzers. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and lately I've been using like the little mini Ibanez, like just the pink like analog delay mini pedal, which I actually think are pretty awesome too for what they are. So just for like a little slapback and like an easy thing you can't mess up, I do like those a lot. But yeah, this one can kind of do everything, which is pretty cool.
That is nice. Let's see.
Number 3.
Yeah.
So I think this was my most recent purchase was the Soma is a company from Russia, and there's a company the pedal called the Cosmos, which is like a looper sort of pedal. It's kind of it's almost unclear what it does, but like basically it takes what you put into it and it kind of like cuts it up and puts it in different delay lines.
Wow. This thing's wild. We're
really,
looking at pictures as we're listening because we're trying to understand this better. That's a big pedal.
Yeah, it's big, and it just sounds like it's really nice because you can plug in headphones to that and just like really play anything, and it just turns into this sort of like beautiful cacophony.
It seems like a DJ would love this. Like legitimately, like an EDM DJ would go bananas on this.
Maybe.
So
Yeah,
I've been having a lot of fun with that.
I can imagine. And it's called the Drifting Memory Station. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's like it is like a looper, but there's no like it's not time based in a way that like you don't choose a starting and stopping point. It will just kind of like endlessly loop, and then it all just kind of forms together into this like kind of wild sound that it's really interesting. I've like not.
You must
heard
have a hard
anything
time
like
walking in a straight line after you're playing with all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, some of the controls are blur, drift, drive, sup, com, FB, mix. You know, that's a lot of stuff going on. I can only imagine how fun that must be.
And there's a reverse option too, which is always kind of fun.
There is, and also, I like these kind of features. You know, we talk about having a blend on a pedal often, but this one has an in and an out, which is actually really cool because you can boost the in signal but kind of choke the out, which could distort it, I would imagine.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, you have you don't have much, but what you do, mister. Yeah.
How about number 4?
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to go. This is probably a terrible answer, but I'm going to go really simple, and I'm just going to say the Sonic Research Strobo Tuner.
Okay. I thought you were going to say like an original Klon or something.
No. That's one of those things I don't need to touch.
Yeah. Okay. Strobo Tuner. All right.
I need to have that.
Yeah.
I think if I don't have that, the show's going to go very poorly.
Well, you need something that doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're being honest, that
and it does the nothing just perfectly. So, yeah, I think it's actually really important.
and that which brand one was that?
Sonic Research.
Sonic Research.
They have
Strobo
like
Tuner.
Turbo Tuner ST300. And they have like a really kind of old school website, and like it's actually pretty cheap if you order from the website, but then you'll see them on Reverb for like twice the price for no reason. But they just have them on the website
For no reason.
It's like if people can just figure out how to order from a website,
Yeah.
you know, it seems like that's not the easiest thing for some people to do, maybe.
Yeah, it's true, and I think that you're right. We're looking at some pretty very different prices on these things. Well, man, that's really cool. That's a lot of fun. That is one heck of a board, and that makes me now want to listen to your band. I'm not gonna lie. You've convinced me to listen on my way home. Not that I needed any more convincing. But on with the show. Now it's time to talk about all your stuff. And since you've already mentioned the band, I think it's worth maybe like, let's dip into that, because that might help set up, where you are at musically in your head with your products.
Yeah. Yeah. So I joined La Dispute in 2006.
And that's La Dispute.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Got it.
So previous to that, there was a couple of years my brother was in the band, but basically like their first sort of EP came out, and then I joined, and this was kind of like my college years. I think I was probably 19 years old, and which is kind of crazy to think that I started playing when I was 14 or 15. So I was like, I had only been playing guitar 4 years, maybe, which is really wild to think about, what you just get thrown into right away. But yeah, that was kind of the beginnings. And in some ways, like that's kind of when the beginnings with messing with other music stuff and pedals and gear and equipment and all that stuff was kind of like probably started in those like college years, which for me was '06 to '09. Yeah. And I was at in college for electrical engineering actually. But at the time I think I had like literally zero idea what I wanted to do with it. So it wasn't really until I dropped out in 2009, I quit to do music full time. So the band at that point was taking off enough that, you know, we all kind of had to make a commitment decision and say like, this is what we're going to be doing for at least a while. So yeah, we all kind of like quit our jobs, quit school, and just like went on tour for a whole summer and like just kind of kept going. And yeah, in some ways it's just been one little thing or after another to keep it moving.
Yeah. Do you guys all live near each other?
Currently, no. So at the time, we were all based in Grand Rapids. Currently, two of us live in the same city, so we're spread out.
It's
basically
so hard. It is so hard.
Across the country, and then our drummer Brad lives in Australia.
In Australia?
So in Australia, yeah.
Oh boy.
But it kind of like, you know, I think when we get to spend time together now, it's like kind of we just have to book a tour. We'd have to book shows to make anything happen. So, you know, this year with writing the last couple of years, we've been just book a tour with sort of like a minimum amount of shows and then just try to get together and write in our rehearsal space and just like do whatever we can while we're together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it works.
Cool. So let's see. That band, you told us about your new gear. I think we're all going to rush out and listen to this on the way. I'm going to listen to it on the way home. I encourage all of you also to do that at some point in time. La Dispute, and get an idea of where Chad's head's at. Now, maybe that has something, or maybe it has nothing to do with the pedal that we have in front of us, which is the Overdrive Analog Texture, the VB2.
Yes.
So, I think you have some explaining to do.
Yeah. So I would say probably around, that kind of early in the beginning was probably when I first started making circuits or just like trying things out, you know, going online, getting books from the library, you know, on circuit bending and electronics and all that. So the first like circuit that I really started with is what now has become the Pano Boost or the Panorama, which is kind of based on some of Jack Orman's schematics, which I was drawn to in the beginning. And those have just kind of been in continuous evolution, like since I've started playing through them, because once I started, I haven't really stopped. So in some ways that just always has been with me. So as things have changed and as my guitars changed, as my setups changed, as just like my wants and needs and what I was trying to get out of this thing changed, like I would just kind of adapt the pedal to make it work with my situation. So that's gone through like a whole bunch of iterations. And there's different versions with, you know, 2 knobs and a switch or 3 knobs or all sorts of arrangements that I've kind of worked through with that one. And that's kind of more of like a clean boosting type pedal. And yeah, that I would say is probably like the most kind of useful, practical pedal that I make. It's just kind of
The Pano.
the Pano, yeah.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous looking pedal. I love the design of it. It's simple, but I love it.
Yeah. So that is kind of that circuit. And then the VB is a little bit of a newer thing for me where it's still probably 4 or 5 years maybe when I first kind of figured out just the basic building block of a schematic, which really came from just like digging through piles of old transistors and stuff. So because I used to buy a bunch of stuff at auctions and things, and somehow ended up with just these boxes and bins and jars of lots of old parts. So I think I was trying to just like figure out something that worked, and was just testing in and out hundreds of different transistors of just all these ones that I had. And I kind of started with just a very simple circuit, which ended up looking a lot like the LPV1, just about as basic as you can get, right? In terms of a schematic. So that through all that, I was kind of able to find this one transistor out of like all these piles, which a lot of them didn't work. Some of them just worked, but they didn't really sound like anything interesting. But this one transistor I thought just did a really, really cool, really interesting thing that just kind of like drew me into it. And that was kind of the beginning of just like exploring what this was. Like I found a source for them, and I ended up like just kind of buying all of them that I could find at the time. And I was doing a lot of the pedals I was making. I would just kind of send to an email list. I just kind of had a somewhat informal like list of emails from people who had sent me something over the years, and I would often just like email them and say like, this is what I have, if anybody's interested. And for a long time, like that's the only way that I sold pedals, was just kind of to that list. So I started with the VB1. I did a few batches of that, which was, just kind of, that one just had volume and bias control. And then as it expanded, it's just, I've used that as kind of a chunk, and I'll basically can expand that to any size depending on, so the VB2 is basically just two of this building block stacked into each other. And I also have like a VB4, which is four of the like 4 stages. And it's kind of just like endlessly scalable in a way, that I found really interesting in ways that could, even be like split in two and send half one place and send half the other place. So really interesting options for like stereo configurations, or just a little bit like kind of a little, just it's like this, it's not the pedal you need, but it's maybe a little more like one that's just is fun, and you like it. I think it opens up like different possibilities. And I found like in the last year, I've been playing way more with that circuit than anything else. Just kind of, it's a lot of fun.
So what we're, for our listeners, the VB2 essentially is like two, distortion or boost pedals, fuzz pedals, whatever you want to call it.
The VB2 is a 2-stage boost overdrive, which can be used to add texture and grit to just about any instrument. It excels at handling large, bassy signals like drum machines, synths, overdriven guitar, and bass. It will add some nice warmth and fuzziness to whatever you put through it, like a sandwich.
I do like a nice sandwich.
Yes, I actually I read most of that on the unboxing. In case you guys. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. So, I mean, looking at it, it's got. Are you using the same transistor for each stage?
Yes.
Okay.
The two stages are like identical.
Okay. And on the top side, so you have stage 1, stage 2. There's a volume control and a bias control for each of those stages, and then
which is not a typical. I don't think I've ever run into another pedal where it's maybe some fuzzes, but like where it's just here's your volume and then a bias. That's like the only two things that you get.
But that's what's cool about this one.
Yeah.
And can you explain the bias control for people who may not understand how that works?
Yeah. So the bias control changes the bias on the transistor. So it's just a resistor lug on the drain of the transistor that changes the gain. So as it's almost like another volume in a way. It's adding more and more gain, but it also kind of as it gets turned up, it also like saturates at different points.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you turn it up high enough, it will do what's called gating and start like kind of crackling out in a way which can sound really cool, or it just sounds broken depending on how you think about it. And then if you turn it all the way up, will also kind of just act as like a noise gate as well. It's like it will kind of only let a signal large enough through.
Yeah, so it's kind of just varying the voltage. Is that right, to the transistor?
I believe it's voltage.
Voltage. Yeah. And you're either starving it or I guess if you turn it all the way up, you're starving it, and if you have it wide open, it's getting full voltage. Yeah,
and it's kind of when you're adjusting it, it has a lot of I find the way that it compresses is really different. So like having it especially with the two volumes, as you like turn the first one up and the second one down, or vice versa, you get like this kind of whole range of like squishiness.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like the balance, like the sort of bass treble balance also changes quite a lot just in the changes of the volume. So even though there's not like a tone control or like a treble or bass control, you can like sort of use them all to shift like there's a lot of kind of interesting combinations where you can figure out where you want to go if you learn the pedal, but it does take some kind of figuring out.
There is. I mean, in terms of shaping
with the subtleties, I think.
Yeah, in terms of shaping tone and what have you, and all of these controls, as you said, are very interactive with each other. So it's.
Yeah.
I think if you want to dial in some specific sound, this one does a really nice job of doing that.
Yeah, and you actually have taken, you painstakingly, you have set up guides for. Let's start here, see if you like that sound. Here's a different sound, and through the manual that you provide with this, which is super helpful because this is one of those things where if you, like, it took me a second because I was like, wait a minute, because I didn't read it. I just said I'm just gonna experience it and see what happens. Then I'll go back and read and go, oh, that's usually what happens. In this case, that's exactly what happened because I was like, what is going on?
Well, my mistake is I thought I would try each stage out separately.
Yeah.
And I turn the volume down on one, and it turns the volume down on both. So it's not set up. In my head, I'm thinking, this is okay, stage one and stage two. But if you turn one of them all the way off,
right,
it silences everything.
Chad, you mentioned this very briefly, but it's kind of littered throughout your own copy on the website and in the manual. Is that it's almost like a pre and post.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of funny because we just talked about the in and the out. That is essentially,
Yeah,
a
exactly.
pre and a post.
Yep. Yeah, and you can find the other thing I think is interesting is like you can find a perfectly neutral like unity gain sound, which I don't think you can do on a lot of fuzzes, but it will also, like, if you turn it up, it will also get just as nasty as a lot of fuzzes. So I think the interesting points is kind of that blend in between and going from one to the other. I think that's also actually why it works really well with stuff like bass, or any other instrument or signal you put through where you don't want your like fundamental sound to change, especially
Right.
the bass character, because that's like, if you run a bass through a fuzz, you'd typically want like some kind of clean blend or something like that. But I think this actually sort of negates the need for that, because you have your whole signal and then you can sort of subtly dial in just that amount of like grit or texture, which is kind of where the name might be a little.
Yeah,
like,
but it's
what I'm trying to evoke. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I found, because I'm not a huge fuzz fan, I'm more overdrive, and what I found is by keeping the bias, say like at 10 o'clock on
Yep.
in both channels, that got the sound, and then I played with the volume on channel 1, I call them channels, whatever.
Yeah.
Stage 1, stage 2, pre-post, whatever you want to call it. By playing, with those positions, and that's where I found there's a lot of interaction on all 4 knobs. I mean, you maneuver, one of the knobs in one direction, and it just plays off of the other 3.
Well, that makes it super versatile, but also what you were just talking about, Chad, when you were talking about the bass element of it, because you don't have any tone controls involved in this, it was refreshing to not hear the tone get voiced. Which is, I've got some overdrives, and I'm like, man, I love what this does, but I don't like that it robbed me of my bass signal, or is just way too brittle sounding at a certain stage.
Yeah.
This was, the bass was really, I had to actually go back to my amp, and I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta, the bass is like coming through, again, because it's being affected by your volumes working together. So it's a neat pedal, and I think, to me, whenever we have somebody on and we're checking out a pedal, I always ask myself, who do I think this pedal is for? And then we also like to ask, the builder, who they think this pedal is for. Now, it's easy to say, this is for anybody, but do you have, did you have someone, a certain kind of player in mind for this when you built this?
It's interesting because, I think oftentimes the pedals that I make have just been me fine tuning them for myself. And I do get a lot of use out of them where they get played in so many different situations and different live shows and studios and recordings that there's things you just kind of learn when something is working or not. So a lot, truthfully, that's probably what I'm mostly thinking about. And then when I put them out there, it's kind of a bit more of a question mark. And I think it's been really interesting to see people's response for them. And I have gotten that reaction as well of being like, I like how this doesn't change. Like, it's kind of an overdrive. People are almost like, I don't know if it is an overdrive.
Right.
Like, I don't know what it is. And I don't I don't know either. That's why it has such a terrible name, I think.
It's almost a preamp, but
Yeah, I mean,
but it has the bias thing, which is you don't normally get that.
I mean, it's I would say, I mean, you could it goes the range of an overdrive all the way to a full fuzz.
Well, that's funny because that's exactly what he said.
Well, there you go. I'm confirming exactly what.
So I'll share where I was thinking with when I was playing this. The person that I was thinking of is somebody who is in a like I don't want to say lo-fi, but maybe a bigger sounding lo-fi band that is competing with a lot of stuff. There's lots of sounds going on that's trying to find something where like I want to sit in the mix and not compete for the same sound and going beyond whatever actual amp sounds like, but something that's going to give a unique, I mean, it says texture on the pedal. I mean, that's really the best way to put it. Because you're not really messing with the tone.
Yeah, it's just you putting a little hair on the signal.
Well, yeah, or ducking it, or like smother. It's like there's a lot that you can achieve with that. So you can have your sound, but how you're sculpting that to fit with all the other instruments and including the voice, that has a lot of potential to be able to do that. But you gotta put a little bit of time and get your patience in. Yeah. Because it's not like a swing wildly kind of thing. I'm like, I can't find a good sound. You're gonna be there all night doing that.
Now, Chad, which version do you have on your board? Do you have the 2 or the 4?
I toured with a 4 on my board for quite a while. And I was running so basically the 4 is just 2 versions of the 2 in series with each other. So they share a power jack, and then you can plug in just one side and out the other side, and the internal will jumper. But the way that I was running it was the first VB2 I was running before my distortion pedal. And then the second VB2 I was running after the distortion pedal.
Oh, wow.
And that gave me like 2 very different, like I would click either one for very different purposes. Where the pre-distortion one was kind of just like instant, like kind of doominess, or like, or even if I'm like, I need feedback. There's some times where I'm just like, I need instant feedback and just like a huge push kind of wall of sound kind of thing. And slamming the distortion with the VB2 just does that really well, I think, because it's just like very meaty and growly, and it's like it's not so piercing that it changes the sound of the distortion. It just like kind of blows it up in a nice way. And then the one post distortion, I would just use if I'm pretty much just looking for like volume. So if I'm trying to stick out for any particular reason, and just get like a bit more of a volume boost post distortion, you could just kind of set the other side a different way, or even just even if they were set exactly the same, the fact that one is pre-distortion and the other is post-distortion really completely changes the character of it.
Yeah, it's almost like having in your case, 2 presets for 2 different purposes, which I think is cool. The other thing that was really cool that I did try was you can do a 9-volt or 18-volt, and there's a surprising amount of headroom when you go to the 18-volt. Which is, I don't know.
Well,
did you
it's
try that?
2 more, isn't it?
It's 9 more.
Oh.
These go to 11.
Especially turning the second volume all the way up is probably one of my favorite settings. If you're just looking for a lot of volume to push an amp or something, I think that's kind of a fun way to run it.
Now, number 1 position, if we're talking about pre and post kind of vibe, right?
Yeah.
Number 1 is the pre and number 2 is the post, in theory, right?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I had that right for those who might
Yeah,
be.
and there is. So I do have another version of the VB2, which currently it's called the VB2 Black. I just kind of did like an all blackout version for it, just to kind of distinguish it as its own thing. But that one does have a loop in between the two separate stages.
Oh my!
So that one you can run the first stage independently, and then go out, and then the in will go into the second or the return. So it'll go out this end into a return, and then the second stage will go out the out. So it's kind of like a built-in effects loop between the two stages.
Yeah, now I see it because you've got 4 jacks on it.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Interesting.
Very clever.
Yeah, and
that
I think
would be really confusing if you didn't have the manual for that one. What the?
This thing doesn't work.
What?
I honestly expected way more confusion than either people are just confused and silent, or they're figuring it out. I'm not sure.
They might still be looking at it.
Yeah, with this one, you definitely need to include some Tour Gear design patch cables.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So you seem to have the VB series down pat. What's in the works?
One, I am or would like to develop a stereo VB2. I think particularly because how well the pedal works with like in kind of a studio situation is also kind of where I play around with it a lot. Is like just, you know, like run a synth through it, or run a drum machine through it, or whatever, and just kind of blow it up. But blowing it up in stereo is a whole nother thing that is really, really cool, because just like you get, especially with the bias controls up quite a bit, you get this like different textural thing. And when it's panned left and right, you get like really interesting stereo field.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
If you're open to it.
Definitely.
The VB4 Black in stereo. So there's 6 jacks.
Well, I have thought about adding a stereo loop jack to. You could add one on each side of the VB4. You could do a VB4 Black
With an expression pedal.
Oh.
That's 7. I'm just saying.
2 expression pedals.
You got
if the VB2 stereo does happen, some sort of expression or CV control would definitely also that would be where I'd hope to go with it, but we'll see.
And then you could just put like a dummy one on there just for. What does this do? What does this do?
It's broke.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
I have some plans to do some really stupid things, like just like make a VB8 or like a VB16 like rack mounted, just for, or even like make like a no input mixer VB8 or something, you know, just like, I don't know, just push it to its limit a little bit and see what happens.
It seems like you would have something maybe in the delay realm or echo realm in the future based on what your 4 on the floor was. Is that something you are interested in toying with?
I have an idea. I have a couple ideas for delay, but they feel far away.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, they feel complicated, and I just, I think
We'll wait right here. You can go finish that.
I need to learn. I need to learn more, but there is some things I'd like to do with delay, especially even some of the stuff that we did on the last Lot of Speed record, Panorama. There was a lot of kind of like stereo analog delay stuff with. I was using a lot of like old rack mount stuff, and like I have wanted to try to put that in some sort of pedal form. Whether I think it would be difficult to do it in an analog delay, but not impossible. We'll see.
Well, we look forward to whatever you endeavor moving forward in the future, forwardly.
Yeah, I'm working on a crazy amount of things. I have like, even this week, I think I finished like 7 or 8 board designs. So
Wow.
I'm just going to be trying things, and
That's great.
You know, I think I'm actually really interested in just like new formats, or like, you know, putting the same, like fine tuning the circuits, but even just like fine tuning the whole process. So like, yeah, even just the shapes of things that might change, or like, I don't know. I kind of like, I want to try just doing like a 1-knob version of, like, try a 1-knob VB2, try a 1-knob VB4, just like see what I can do with all these formats, where like within sort of the existing framework, but just playing around with sort of different combinations, and yeah, different ways to go about it.
Nice. Sounds good. We are we'll be waiting for all those new fabulous things. As people go to your website, they're going to see a lot of things that are sold out. You have something called garage sale, which apparently you don't. Do you not make those anymore, or they're just currently out, or what's up?
Yes. So I did the garage sale this summer, which was just kind of a way for me to kind of get through a lot of parts that I had been kind of piling up. And like, I'm always kind of experimenting with like trying to find, you know, different powder coats or different manufacturers for things. And like, I just kind of, I'm realizing that I'm acquiring too many parts that I just would love to just kind of get back out. So I did that as a way of both like kind of clearing out some space and making room, and like, yeah, just kind of going fresh with that, and also making them.
So,
like,
so there's
pretty
like
affordable
one-offs
so
that,
that-
yeah. Okay.
Those are all one-offs. Yeah. And,
Okay.
and I did want to make those like pretty accessible to some, because yeah, even I try to make my pedals accessible as I can, but it's also still a lot of money. So
Yeah, it's not. You're not doing it for charity, or
yeah.
maybe you are.
But
I don't know.
I know, I even know, knowing myself, like I think about someone like me, who I don't super often buy like a brand new product, or like even the like Moog MF delays. How I got into that was when they were discontinuing the whole line. So I got all those for $99.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
And like, I just know, and that got, you know, now I'm buying the Asheville Music Tools because I know how incredible it is, and I know how worth it is. But it took an entry point for me. So, you know, I think I enjoyed doing that in a way that like it might get someone interested who might not otherwise, buy like a new boutique, whatever thing.
Gotcha. Well, ladies and gentlemen, go to Oats and Molasses, and go there first, because we love making sure that the people who are actually building the stuff get the first chance to sell it to you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Chad, it has been lovely finding out about your awesome pedals and the thinking behind it, and your super cool band, La Dispute. We will also be listening for that as well. Right now, we're going to dip into the Would You Rather. All right, Tony, go ahead.
That's right, Todd, because this is the moment of the show of a game that we like to play called Would You Rather?
This Would You Rather is brought from our good friend Trevor Ellenberg. Thank you so much for sending that in.
So, you're playing in an upcoming series of local shows with your band, but unfortunately your amp rig decides to stop working. No. No, you cannot take your amp to Rob in this scenario. And even if you could, he'd say, it'll be about 12 months before I can get to it. You can still use your guitars and your pedal board, but you need to figure out an amp solution for the gigs. Silver lining. Fortunately, 3 guitar legends happen to be in town, and they have all graciously offered for you to use their amps. Would you rather? Number 1. This is a 3-part would you rather.
Yeah.
Would you rather use Brian May's wall of 9 Vox AC30s? Or, number 2, would you like Yngwie Malmsteen's wall of around, let's just say, we'll call it an even 55 Marshall heads and 18 4x12 cabinets? Or number 3, use Joe Bonamassa's amp shanty consisting of around 8 amps, including Marshalls, Fenders, and Dumbles.
All right. So, oh yes, hang on.
Transportation of the amps to the venues will be provided, but you are responsible for carrying the amps in and out of the venue, plus setting them up with only the help of your bandmates and no road crew.
Ooh. Well, that makes a difference. Mm-hmm. Tony?
Yes?
We'll have you go first.
Well, I can tell you right now, Yngwie, Ixnay. Ixnay on the Yngwie. So that, I mean, boy, both the
55 Marshall heads?
Oh, he's...
I mean, I know, I've seen the
excessive.
exact thing. I mean, it's like...
It's well, we
55?
don't know. We don't know if those are all... Actually,
at some point in time, they probably were.
They may be fakes. And then, of course, Brian May or Joe Bonamassa's. Now, we've heard Joe Bonamassa's pretty recently. And one of the cool things that he does with his is he will use an amp or two to basically amplify a portion of the signal of the guitar. So he uses a couple for bass.
He was using the Marshalls for bass.
And a couple
if
for
remember correctly.
Trebles. So assuming that he brings, although I think he uses the Dumbles for bass, but assuming that it comes with all the patch cables and everything that you can run it like he does and just plug in, which it probably won't, I'm going to go with the Bonamassa rig.
Okay.
I think that one, and even if it doesn't come with all the cables, just to play through a Dumble or 5 or 3, however many he plays through these days, it would be just such a treat. I mean, I love...
we heard it sound live, and it's bonker. It's so good.
Yeah. So I'm going with JB's.
All right. Chad, about yourself?
I would do the wall of AC30s.
Nah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I play at least when I'm touring overseas. It's always an AC30 and a wall of them. I don't know. Sounds fun.
for just a minute, and then it won't sound like anything ever again for the rest of your life.
You just hear this high-pitched whistle in your ears. Todd Lee, what's it going to be?
I'm going with Chad on this. I'm really liking my new Vox, and I think I don't need to get that complicated with the amps. Mm-hmm. I complicate everything myself. So just having a wall of AC30s, that I'm sure would just sound flippin' incredible. So I'm going with that. So yes, thank you for sending that in. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
It does make you think, because in certain, depending on what you were doing, each of these has a place.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not to say that you have to use them just as they are set up here. Maybe you only need 1 or 2 AC30s.
Yeah.
Or 1 or 2 Dumbles.
Yes. Yeah, all the things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, if you've got a Would You Rather, please send this in to us, okay? People out there listening, because I know you're playing along with this, so why don't you send us a few? You know what I mean?
Do it.
All right. We need to say thank you to a few people, and then we're going to say goodbye.
Yes.
To our friend Chad.
Okay, well, Todd, there are a special group of people that we love to thank. These are our executive producers, Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Very easy. Head over to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs and check out a couple different levels in which you can participate. Become a friend, a hero, an all-around nice person to the podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win special giveaways.
Yes.
There's more of those coming down the pike.
Indeed.
But above and beyond all that great stuff, there's one thing more.
Yes. You get to have your name read on the thing.
So special thanks to these executive producers: John Sebastian, Trevor Ellenberg, Cameron Pampas, James Bell, Eric Hemmer, Brett Hogarth, Gregory Randall, Don Kloss, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Rusty Sneeden, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Richard Kendall, James Pennington, James White, Justin Jones, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, Tom Barazin, Michael Davenport, Eric Marrow, Plutone, and James Pennington.
Yes.
But
Thank
wait,
you,
Todd,
thank you. Yes.
there's more because we
Oh.
have a special group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs. These are the creme de la creme, the top of the heap, the A number ones. And they also get a nice fez to wear upon their head whilst listening to the podcast, of course.
Yes.
So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs: Anthony Gemalero, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Bob Crouch, Brian Robison, Cody Foster, David Kaminga, David Tyndall, Enrico Fernando, Fox Hill Studio, Hex Matos, Jack Cadian, James Pennington, John Williams, Jonathan Jerusik from 12th Hour Devices, TikTok, LSJ Music Company, Matt Hart, Michael Van Zant, Michio Murakishi, Moon Guitars, Paul Von Eppinger, Sam Jett, Steve Keys, Tyler Rhines, Zach Oswald from Brandon Wound Pickups, Pedro Vasquez, and James Pennington.
Excellent. Thank you so very much, everybody. We truly thank you. We could not do this without you. It keeps it going. I know you've heard that, 380 times, I think.
Is
at
this
this point.
380?
This is 381.
Oh.
381.
Wow.
Yeah. So we need to say a ginormous thank you to Chad William Morgan Sterenberg.
All of them. All four of them.
Oh, yeah. It's like you got your own band. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us. We had a great time talking with you, and I hope that we've piqued the interest of a lot of our listeners, and they'll check you out.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
And where can they go to check you out?
Oatsandmolasses.com, Oats and Molasses 001 on Instagram. Yeah, you can find my email. Email's great.
Email's fun.
Email is good. Tony?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I do, which is a custom pickguards. So if you have something that you want to change out, pickups, color, whatever you want to do, shoot me an email. Let me know what you're trying to do, what you need. I'll take very good care of you. It's your chance to make your guitar even more yours.
Yes, copyright.
Copyright, Todd.
All right, you can shoot me a DM on Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Love to hear from you. Tell us what's going on with your own gear, what you love about the show, what you maybe hate about the show. Hopefully not much. Throw rocks to me if you want, whatever. And give us some would you rathers. And also, on your way home, wherever you are, on your way to work, whatever.
Yeah.
Going to get some ice cream. It's hot out. I understand that. On your way home from the pool, give a listen to Plug Your Band.
La Dispute.
La Dispute. And then after that, roll in some the Valentinos.
Yes.
And who knows? You might like that. It'd be like a nice sandwich or something. A nice rock sandwich.
Who doesn't
all right.
like a nice rock sandwich?
I certainly do. Anyways, thank you all. Have a fantastic guitar week and subscribe.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much. Tony just showed up with his late sauce.
I'm on time. I'm on time, damn it.
Wait, that was
Oh,
that was
boy.
terrible. Golly. Was that my I can't it's hard. You
Here,
clap. It's hard for me
I
to
will
clap.
clap
My
for
hand's
you.
got
Ready?
surgery on it. Oh, that's okay. That'll work. He's a terrible clapper.
I had a frittata.
Oh my, a frittata. I like a frittata.
I like a
lot of
frittata.
people-
Yeah.
It's a delicate thing though. You can't always trust a restaurant to do a frittata right, because the whole thing is if you get brown on the egg, it's I'm gonna just say it. It's
William.
oh my goodness. Chad Morgan-Sterenberg.
Whoa, that's a
it.
mouthful.
You win. That's the longest name I think the longest English name I think I've heard.
Is that the first
Is
or
it
the second?
Chadwick or is it just Chad?
Just Chad. Yeah.
Just Chad.
Just Chad.
Okay. All right.
We're
Still win.
Caledonia? Caledonia? What
What-
meant
what-
your big head so hard? Huh.
Ooby doo. I wanna be like you. Woo woo.
You know what I use in mine?
Pancakes.
No. Although, I might try that.
I had a pancake frittata. Really? Yes, blueberries and maple syrup in a pan.
In a pan.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie Big Night?
No.
That's a deep cut. No.
That's when you got you
Big,
Todd.
like Knigget or
Night.
Night.
Like Big Night.
like nighttime or.
This friend of theirs is promising him that he's going to get
This is riveting, isn't
he's
it?
going to
Chad?
get Louis Prima to play.
Now,
Shall we?
wait, when you got in trouble,
Yeah.
what?
It was Chad William when I was in trouble.
Monk, Tony,
Thelonious
Tony,
Monk? Monkfish.
no, the guy who played
Monk's the-
Monk.
Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub is in it.
Is this relevant?
Is what relevant? the podcast.
What we're doing.
No, it's totally irrelevant.
Chad.
I imagine it would be
Yeah.
and healthy. But a frittata is a great way to clean out your refrigerator.
Yeah.
It's true.
I mean, you can throw anything in there.
Yep.
I think that's exactly what my wife said this morning.
You're like, why are there dino nuggets in my eggs and one pot sticker? Is this a popsicle stick?
Meatballs.
Yes.
I didn't put meatballs in
Yeah.
there. Who's the guy that played Julia Child's husband in Julie and Julia?
William Hurt.
No.
I don't,
No.
I don't know.
He just did a travel show about going to Italy, eating food.
Oh, Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci is in.
We edit this, so if at any point you're like, guys, I really need to use a restroom / look for an escape, then just let us know. We'll pause and no big deal. See, we need now. Honestly, right here, if we stopped and did a diagram on the wall of this conversation since we've been talking to Chad William Morgan
Jacob
Staren,
Heimer-Schmidt.
then this would be amazing. And then
I am Spartacus.
yes, and away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.